All right, we're back after the NBA NFL update, jumping into the weekly movie review. It's the best part of our podcast lately. So if you have any movies you'd like to hear about, like us to review,
Genres.
yeah, give us comments. I've gotten some good comments on the movies at this point. We've been themed up to now, and so we got another theme this week, which we did war movies. And you better have some time on your hands if you're watching these. Actually, isn't that the truth with most war movies, though? If you think
Yeah.
about it,
Well, because if I didn't do what I did, I was gonna do like what is it?
Saving Private Ryan, like
The Bridge
a
Too
bridge too
Far.
far, like it doesn't matter. It's like you're 3 4 hours in, like just get ready. Or Patton,
Yeah.
Glory, like right, like you're invested. So this week we got three good movies. We did. Well, we'll just start with our movies since we don't have Wes. I actually want to start with your movie, which was Black Hawk Down, and so I'll give my thoughts on that, and then you can give your overview. It's been a long time since I saw that movie, and I actually this is only the second time I've seen this movie. So I saw it near when it came out, and then watching it this time, I actually did research on it before I watched it because when you have a movie that's really closely based on a true story, there was a book about it. Most of it is recounting from people that were involved. That makes a great movie for me. Number one, the story though, and to think about you know where they're at, and I guess if you haven't seen the movie, the US is in there, first of all, not they didn't say they were in there, which is a big problem typically when you're talking about some kind of military action, right? And they're trying to go in there, they're trying to remove what we call a terrorist or whatever leadership without really any backing. And I think that's what got them in trouble in this movie. But the movie in general, it's got tons of stars, which makes it great because they're all good actors. And that's what you want when you watch a movie like this. They do a very good job of recreating what it's like to be in a wartime situation. And then the crazy thing is when they actually go in there and the helicopters get shot down, they have to like try to go in. And the major thing is that the general is like no man left behind. And so that's what it's all about. Like guys are, and I guess that's a big question. Like, how many lives can you lose to not leave a man behind? Like, what's it worth? How many lives is it worth to go get out a body or to go get out an injured person? And how many lives do they lose to have that mentality of no man left behind? So as I'm watching the movie, that comes up in my head. Is it worth it to lose 20 people to go save one?
Well, if we're talking Wrath of Khan, that's what they talk about in that, right? The needs
uh,
of the
right, right. Yeah, the needs of the
few or the
many,
one
right,
outweighs
outrank
the
the needs
needs
of
of
the
the many.
few. What is that? What is that quote?
The needs of the few or one outweighs the needs of the many.
Right. Overall, though, it is a long movie. but it doesn't feel as long as some other movies. Like there's war movies I've watched in the past that feel long, even though this is a long movie, it goes by very quick. You have a couple, maybe 5 to 10 really top end actors in it too, which is great. But I think they do a great job portraying what it was like to be there. And you're talking about a country that was it's Somalia, right? It was in just chaos at the point at the time. So overall, like this for me, it was a very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. But the backstory, you have to like go back and read it, right? You have to go back and understand what was really happening there and why they were there. And so, well, you give it to us. That's what I got.
Yeah. Well, it's always weird with war movies to me because once you get older, like when you're younger, you're like, oh, cool. This is a cool movie, right? Now you're thinking about it now, like, oh man, it's kind of depressing. But it is such a great movie. And I mean, it is a true story, and that's just why it's also so crazy. Um, it basically you get like a half an hour of getting people's backstories, and then it's just action from there. And it gets you, and I mean, there's parts in that where you're feeling real emotions. Like in some scenes where they're like, you, I don't know if you knew, but there's the helicopter, the part where they're taking the dead body out and everything. And people in Mogadishu saw the movie and were cheering that part. They were cheering the American dying.
Well,
So,
they you said earlier, like, and even in the movie, they were celebrating the Somalians. They were dragging the dead bodies around and like celebrating them.
right. And that's why, and it's also, and I guess it's a true story, but it's also the whole, military intelligence. Upper military people are stupid and they don't listen to their grunts, and the people down in the, that's what happened here, like the whole thing where Tom Sizemore is trying to drive places and they're like, turn here. And he's like, I can't.
Dude,
It's,
well, first of all, tell me Tom Sizemore is not the best military actor ever.
Jeez.
Name a better one. You can't. There is no guy you could put in a military movie, and he's been in a ton, first of all, but better than Tom Sizemore?
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, the acting is amazing. But it was Ridley Scott directed it, so that was perfect. The timing and everything. Some of the movies we've watched, it takes me like two or three times to sit and watch it. I have to, because it's like, okay, I'm falling asleep here. This movie is just like boom, boom, and then it's like, oh man, like you said, it's 2.5 hours, but it's a fast 2.5 hours.
Right. Well, and like, look, from Orlando Bloom, Tom Hardy, Jeremy Piven, Ian McGregor, Josh Hartnett, Tom Sizemore, like the cast is insane.
Right. Eric Bana, Jason
Or
Isaac.
Eric Man, dude. We didn't even talk about Eric Bana yet. One of the best. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of him, but the part he plays in this
Yeah.
movie is insane.
He's the ultimate badass.
Right. And that's what you would hope that when you're talking about Army Special Forces and Marine, right? Like those are the kind of guys that you hope are out there.
Yeah.
It's interesting though when you talk about the grunts speaking to the uppers. This is a movie that really relates to that. Because how many times throughout this movie are you sitting there telling yourself, like, just listen, like, just do it? And the generals, the captains, the people in charge keep making the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
Because this really comes from mostly editorial from people who were involved.
Right.
So I believe that more than I believe movies and media, right? I want to hear from the people on the ground, boots on the ground.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, it's a movie, but the people that died in the movie are actually died in real life. That's what's
That's the
that,
hardest part about the end of the movie, right?
yeah.
When they roll the credits.
Yeah.
After watching the whole movie again, and you're right, like it goes fast and it doesn't seem like it took you that long to watch, but when they roll those credits in the end and they start naming the people and putting them to the actors, you're like, man, that's real life.
Hmm.
And to be honest, like Ridley Scott's a good person to do that movie.
Yeah.
So I really actually enjoyed this one. I'm a big war movie guy, and I was surprised that because I'd seen it before, but not the same way I saw it now. Because it's
Yeah. That's the thing.
2001.
When you're
It's
older,
20,
you appreciate it
right.
more.
It's 25 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So that was a great pick. And whether it's war movie or not, if you're into war movies, it's great to watch. But regardless, this is something that happened, and it kind of, for me, falls into that. I don't want to say U.S. overreach because they overreach a lot.
Well, for me, this is where I can't stand the politics and bureaucracy of it all. Because, like, even in the opening scene, the UN gives all these starving poor people a bunch of food, and then Adid's military people come in and steal it all and start
Right,
shooting people. And they're told, "Oh, we can't do anything."
right. Well,
What is right
and
is right.
and when they need help, right, because of the politics behind it, and they couldn't admit they were there, they couldn't get the UN to come in forces and help get the guys out.
Right.
Because what did it take? It took like 24 hours or more to get forces in there to get those guys out.
Yeah. And then they get them out, and then some of them had to run
That's
because
the crazy part, dude.
yeah, after all that.
When
And then they
they're
get in there and there's people with like plates walking around with water.
right,
It's like, really?
dude, when those guys had to hump out on foot with all their gear after being in there for over a day or more, injured, shot, and just humping out on foot, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's why you got to appreciate military people because it's like, man, I can do that.
I mean, that's a great reason we just went through Memorial Day, right? It's a good one though. It's underrated in my opinion. So great movie there. All right, well, let's go to movie number two. This is my movie. Not as I would say accurate in the sense of written by soldiers, but very accurate in a lot of terms. And my movie's Full Metal Jacket. So, what did you think of that?
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick directed it, starring Matthew Modine. And this is where we get the first taste of Arlie Emery as the drill sergeant, like iconic drill sergeant. And basically, he just took stuff he did when he was in the military. And then we've talked about it on other podcasts, the brilliance of Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, so good.
He's such, that's like one guy that, they should have a special Oscar just for people that are just great actors,
Dude,
right? I mean,
he is just incredible.
everything he does,
And you know what's crazy about that is I don't think most people know about Vincent D'Onofrio.
right? Because he's a character actor mostly.
Right,
I mean, he's getting a lot more acclaim now because of being the Kingpin.
right. Well, I mean, he did some good work on what's that?
Law and Order, Criminal
Law and
Intent.
Order. Law and Order. Right.
I
But
mean, him
Stanley
and
Kubrick, though, dude, come on.
yeah. But yeah, Matthew Modine, it's pretty much his vehicle. About it's Private Joker doesn't really believe in the war. It's Vietnam. It's kind of the typical Vietnam movie about how, why are we here? What is the point? And I mean, with also, I like you, I did some research, and there was supposed to be, because this was a book too.
Right.
There was supposed to be a sequel book with Private Joker where he actually becomes Viet Cong. He like switches sides, but that movie never got made. But, um, but yes, the great act. Like I know it's in the beginning, but the whole like Arlie Emery and D'Onofrio together sets the tone for the movie. Like the whole with them, yeah, and that's just like the first little bit of the movie.
That's what's crazy, though, isn't it? It's like two different movies.
Yeah,
It's like you're watching two different movies, like because the boot camp part of it to the in country camp part of it. That's what I love about this movie. There's things I don't particularly enjoy about the movie, but what I love about the movie is that you feel like you actually watched two different movies because boot camp, and that's where obviously Vincent D'Onofrio is just amazing. Matthew Modine's good too in that. He's better in country, right? But the basic training and when they go through that, it really makes you feel like you're there. Like what it feels like to be at their basic training when you go through, PT and all the exercise and all the things that they have to do. And that just it kind of changes the way, at least the way I look at people that have been in the military. Because can you imagine the how much pressure that is and how like physically and mentally demanding, especially mentally demanding when you watch what they go through. And there's nothing more intense than the end of the boot camp, obviously in the bathroom scene.
right. Like the rest of the movie is like cakewalk compared to that.
Compared to that, it's intense, right? But even when they get in country, though, it also like the the scene when it's whatever the Vietnam special, what do they call it when they it's their New Year, whatever it is,
Oh, okay.
and then but they still attack on their
Yeah.
New Year when they weren't supposed to attack, like things like that. I mean, that's kind of wild. And then Matthew Modine, I think, plays a really good part. I was very impressed with him in this role, especially when they're in country. Not so much in boot camp, which he did a great job of, trying to help out Gomer Pyle, Vincent D'Onofrio, or Private Pyle, I guess, not Gomer Pyle. It's a different show. Private Pyle. But yeah, he does a good job. But when he goes into country and then he runs back into guys he was with in boot camp, and
Yeah, because
they
he's a
really
reporter. He's not
right
even
because he's not. Yeah, he's not more military now. Like he's in reporting at that point.
yeah. When he runs into Cowboy and then
Cowboy. That's who it is.
yeah,
And
it has so many quotable things too. Like what can I get for $2?
right, dude. I mean, we know that that's one of the most like iconic ever. You know, he's like, me love you long time. That's got to be one of the most iconic
Tubuku.
ever.
Tubuku.
The beginning of the movie though is so intense.
Yeah.
It's so intense, and then it does even keel off, and it gets a little slow, obviously later in the movie, but the slowness is offset by what's happening, understanding the war, and the guys in the war, especially when he starts like asking questions and like starts hearing the stories,
Yeah.
and that almost like it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to hear because these are things that real guys went through.
Like, ear ear necklaces and
Oh, so it's a great movie, and the I think the best part of this movie for me, which is why I chose it, is I really feel like it's two different movies. You could almost make a movie out of the first part and a movie out of the second part. So I really love that movie, and I've seen it a bunch, and I probably should never have seen this as like a 10-year-old or whatever it came
right.
out. Shouldn't let your kids watch things like this, but yeah, it was in '87.
Yeah. We watch stuff like that though.
Yeah,
That's why I get
but
sometimes Caitlin's like, well, I don't know if we can watch. I'm like, I was Grayson's age. I was watching everything.
you're like, let me tell you what I saw when I was 10. Uh, it's worth the watch. It's great. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Full Metal Jacket. Just be ready, especially for that end of boot camp scene. That's intense. All right, so we don't have Wes here, but uh, God, he picked a really good movie. What's crazy about this is that I don't remember watching this. I know I've seen it, but man, I went watching this movie. What's his name?
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
The movie is Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, movies Apocalypse Now. Sorry, movies Apocalypse Now. But I really want to talk about Martin Sheen for a second. I don't think that I realized how good of an actor he was until watching this again. So Apocalypse Now is it's kind of the same idea. This is Vietnam. but the storyline is crazy, right? So the storyline is he's some kind of special military and gets gets orders to go find a guy who has kind of defected, I guess is the best way to put that. But then starts to like identify with him as the movie goes on. But the scenes they go through as he tries to like make his way deep in country on a boat, but the boat keeps landing different places and having like different interactions in those places. And it gets harder and harder for him to get deeper and deeper into country. And the deeper in country he gets, the more he starts identifying with the guy he's trying to find. I mean, is that kind of how you saw it?
Yeah, it's like the descent into madness, and you see it all through. Like his crew, like starts that. It's what's the surfer dude's name? Starts to go insane.
Oh yeah, dude, he goes wild.
Lance.
Lance, which is really weird because at the first part of it, he's like he's like a famous surfer, and they when they first meet the first guys, and the captain of that crew is like, "Oh, this guy's awesome. We're gonna go take this beach specifically so we can ride these waves."
Yeah. The Viet Cong don't ride waves.
Right.
They don't need the speech. Yeah, it's Robert Duvall.
Robert
Nate, like,
Duvall, that's who it is, dude. Does a great job there, by the way.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Talking about famous lines.
Yeah.
Well, and then, dude, Lawrence Fishburne, by the way, it goes credit wise by Larry Fishburne.
Well, here's the crazy thing. He lied on his like application and everything. He was 14
Wow.
when he started filming that. By the time it was done filming, he was 18.
I mean, he looked real young, but he did a good job too. But you got, I mean, obviously, Francis Ford Coppola, right? Probably one of the greatest directors ever. But now you get Brando, Duvall, Sheen, all in one movie.
Dennis Hopper
Oh,
and a little bit of Harrison Ford.
a little bit. It's funny because when you're not paying attention to it, you don't really realize it's Harrison Ford at first because I don't know. Maybe it's because he's not like doing a lot of like facing. He doesn't have a lot of full scripts, but it takes a little bit to be like, that's Harrison Ford. What did you think? So I think the beginning of the movie is it's not as far as Full Metal Jacket as it's two different movies, but the beginning of the movie is very. I mean, it's a little intense, but it's also very storytelling, and you're really, really like catching along.
Right.
But
Well,
isn't the
that's the
second
thing.
half
You
of the movie
also,
just like throw you for a loop? It gets wild.
and then I can't talk to you, but I watched the Redux version. You missed a whole like 30 minutes, 40 minutes of them in a French colony.
I didn't see that part. That's
No, yeah, because it's part of the Redux. And it's basically in that one, they're there like And these French aristocrat type people are like, you guys shouldn't even be here. Why are you even here at war? But
Oh no, actually no. I did see that version.
oh
You mean when they're
yeah,
sitting at the table and they're eating?
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, I saw that
the
version.
girl, yeah,
Oh yeah, and then yeah,
yeah. So
Sheen leaves.
you saw the over 3 hour version then.
Yes, I did. That was wild though, because he's like, why don't you guys leave?
Yeah,
And they're like, because this is our land now, right? Yes, I did see that version of it too. So we both watched the 3.5 hour version.
yeah, the Redux.
That was actually an interesting part to me though, because when you think about like, why is this French colony out in the middle of Vietnam?
Right.
Because they tried to explain it. They did try to explain why they were there. But then after that, so when they go to like, then there's a party kind of thing, and the helicopter comes in and they bring out the Playboy models. Like this is where it's like, this is so wild.
Well, that's how what they go. Like you said, there's a bunch of stops. So one stop is with the Playboy bunnies, and then you look, and then a few more stops later,
They go back, yeah, and they run
they're
into the
stuck there. The
right,
Playboy bunnies are stuck in this area.
and they trade like gas, for
Yeah.
like hanging out with them. Well, hanging out with them.
Yeah.
It just keeps coming back and around in so many circles. But I guess the for me, the most intriguing part was the near the end, right? He finally gets to the guy he's looking for. And then they start talking and you realize that he almost identifies, right? So this guy who's trying to track down this guy who became this kind of defector in a sense.
Well, and then Scott Glenn, he was sent before Martin Sheen
Right.
to do it. And he then became part of,
Right. And he's there with them now.
yeah,
The same thing that was happening to Martin Sheen the whole way, though, right?
yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute. So you already have the guy who was sent before you, who then aligned. And now the whole time you're going to find him, by the time you get there and you have the conversation, it's like Martin Sheen's ready to align with them, which almost makes you feel like that's what they're trying to tell you in this movie.
Right.
Like we shouldn't be there in the first place.
Well, that was the whole thing too, is like his he was reading all the dossiers and everything about Brando's character. And then it's like, wow, you got to admire this guy.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, because of all of his previous war history and his medals and like when
And
he went back at 37 to go back into like the special
yeah.
forces.
And then the crazy thing is Brando's only in it for 15 minutes.
Right. Even though the whole movie's about him.
About him.
The
Yes.
whole movie, like you're just wondering about this guy because Sheen literally reads about him every, few minutes, every 10, 15 minutes of the movie. He's
Yeah.
reading history of Brando.
So when you finally meet him, you kind of already have a of who
You
he is.
already know
Yeah.
exactly all about him. It's, I mean, I can't say from when I saw this movie in the past, which I was probably too young to understand, to now why I can actually see why this was considered such a great movie.
Yeah, I own the Redux version. I've watched this. I haven't. It's been years since I watched it, but I used to watch it all the time because it's such a great acted movie.
Yeah.
And the cinematography, yeah.
Well, I mean, just to circle back, the movie's Apocalypse Now. So if you heard all that, you gotta watch it. How many how many people younger than us do you think have seen this movie?
Gosh, I don't know. None of the youngins, I know that. I mean, it's a movie from the 70s,
Yeah, like what, 1, 2%?
probably.
I mean, for me, like I said, even though when I was younger, I'd seen it, it hits different. And not in the same way as Black Hawk Down and Full Metal Jacket, because this is a mind-bending movie.
Yeah.
Like it makes you think.
Yeah. Well, and that's yeah, like I was trying to say is as far as he goes down, each place they stop, the madness gets more.
And more intense.
Yeah.
But dude, when Lawrence Fishburne dies, it's crazy.
Stupid Lance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really a great movie, and I mean, you got to look at obviously Coppola, such good actors, top to bottom, and you're talking about one of the most controversial things in U.S. history.
Right.
So I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a great pick, and I wish Wes was here to talk about it.
I know, obviously I should have just done Platoon and then we could just do all Vietnam movies.
Oh, jeez. Dude, if we had Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, and Apocalypse Now, that'd been great. Either way, that I mean, no, Black Hawk Down was a great pick too. So three really good war movies. I'm glad we picked the ones we did because I'm a huge war movie buff, but these are ones I don't watch enough or I haven't watched many times, and so it was good to like kind of rehash, especially Black Hawk Down. If you're still listening at this point, appreciate it. You have to watch Black Hawk Down. It's such a good movie. So we'll wrap our movie reviews there, and get back to us with any movies you'd like us to review. We'll keep going through categories. We'll give you maybe get back into some top fives this summer. I'll post some previous top fives and some shorts, so we'll get some of those going again. Any final thoughts?
Go Knicks.
Go
Sixers
next.
and
Here we go. Saturday, game six. So
man,
we'll have our NBA playoffs next week. We'll still be in right there in the middle finals. So we'll see you guys next week.